You've probably been told the right things. Rest your legs, put your feet up, stay off them when they hurt, take a warm bath at the end of a long day. And look, that advice isn't wrong exactly, but there's a version of it that most people are doing that is quietly making their varicose veins worse every single day. 3 specific things that feel like the right call, things that feel like relief. And that's precisely why they keep happening, because nothing about them feels like a mistake while you're doing it. That's what this video is about. If you've been following the general guidance and still feel like things are getting worse instead of better, there's a good chance at least one of these 3 is working against everything else you're trying to do. So let's get into it. Before we get into the 3 things, I want to be clear about what's actually at stake here, because varicose veins are easy to minimize. They hurt, they look bad, they're uncomfortable, but they're not dangerous, right? That's the version most people have settled on. And so they manage, they accommodate, they make small adjustments and keep going. What I want you to understand is where that accommodation leads. 5 years of managing instead of addressing this is how people end up unable to get out of a chair without grabbing the armrest. The yard work they've done every spring for 30 years stops happening. The stairs require a pause halfway, not because of one dramatic event, because venous disease is progressive. The valves that are leaking today leak more tomorrow. The pressure that's causing that aching and swelling right now is the same pressure that, compounded over time, hardens the skin, breaks down the tissue, and takes the ordinary things off the table one by one. Quietly, without a clear moment where you could have said, this is where it changed. The people who get ahead of it are the ones who stop just managing the symptoms and start understanding what's driving them, which means stopping the things that are accelerating the damage, even when those things feel right. That's habit 1. Habit 1, soaking your feet and legs in hot water. After a long day, legs aching, feet swollen, a hot bath or a basin of hot water feels like exactly what the body is asking for. The heat dulls the nerve pain almost immediately. The swelling seems to soften, everything feels better, and then you get out. And within 20 minutes, your legs feel heavier than they did before you got in. This is what's happening. When your body is exposed to heat, it responds by dilating the blood vessels, widening them to bring more blood to the surface of the skin to release heat and cool you down. In healthy veins, this is a temporary, self-correcting process. In veins with already weakened walls, dilation means something else entirely. The vein walls that are already stretched, already holding more blood than they were designed to hold, are being asked to stretch further. More blood volume, more pressure, more pooling. The hot water gave you 15 minutes of nerve relief. What it gave your veins was another round of pressure on walls that can't afford it. Heat is one of the most consistent triggers for worsening varicose vein symptoms. Hot baths, hot tubs, saunas, even underfloor heating if your legs are resting on it for hours. The short-term relief is real, that's not in question, but it comes at a cost that compounds over time. Warm water, not hot. Short exposure, not a long soak. And if your legs are aching at the end of the day, a cool or cold compress over the lower legs actually reduces the swelling by doing the opposite, constricting the vessels, reducing pooling, bringing the pressure down. It feels less immediately satisfying. It works considerably better. Before habit 2, it's worth understanding the thread running through all 3 of these, because once you see it, the other 2 make immediate sense. Everything that goes wrong with varicose veins comes back to the same place. Pressure inside compromised veins. The valves have weakened. Blood is pooling where it shouldn't. And every time something increases that pressure, more blood volume, less outflow, gravity working unopposed, the damage compounds. The vein walls stretch further. The valves weaken more. The pooling gets worse. The hot water habit increases pressure by filling the veins with more blood than they can handle. Habit 2 does something different. It reduces the system's ability to clear that blood in the first place. Habit 2, wearing flat shoes and house slippers all day. Most people over 65 have made their peace with heels. They switched to flats years ago sensible shoes, comfortable slippers around the house, and they feel good about that decision. For joints, for balance, for general comfort, that reasoning is mostly sound. For veins, it's more complicated. The calf muscle pump, the mechanism that physically pushes blood up and out of your lower leg veins, depends on the full heel-to-toe motion of each step. When the heel rises and falls naturally during walking, the calf goes through its full contraction and release cycle. That's what moves the blood. That's the pump stroke. Completely flat shoes and bare feet reduce that motion. The calf still works, but it works less efficiently with every step you take. This was measured directly. A study published in the Journal of Vascular Surgery tested calf pump function across different heel heights. High heels, the kind nobody over 65 is wearing anyway, reduced pump function significantly, but so did completely flat footwear. The heel height that maintained normal venous return was 3.5 centimeters, about 1.5 inches. A low, supportive, comfortable heel, not a fashion statement, not a flat slipper. The implication is specific. If you're spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day in house slippers or bare feet, which a lot of people are, every step you take is clearing slightly less blood from your veins than it should be. That deficit accumulates through the day. By evening, when your legs are at their heaviest, part of what you're feeling is 10 hours of a pump running below capacity. A supportive shoe with a low heel, 1 inch to 1.5 inches, worn consistently through the day changes that from the first hour of the morning. Not fashion heels, a walking shoe, a low-heeled mule, a supportive clog, something that lets the ankle move through its full range with each step. The difference by end of day is not a small one. Someone reached out a while back. They'd been making a genuine effort, stopped sitting all day, started doing more around the house, standing at the kitchen counter, doing tasks upright, staying on their feet more than they used to. Their doctor had told them to be less sedentary, and they were following through. Their symptoms were getting worse. They couldn't work out why. More movement, more standing. Shouldn't that be helping? When I asked how they were standing, whether they were moving while they were up, shifting weight, walking between tasks, they said no, they were just standing there, in one spot, sometimes for an hour at a time. That's habit 3. Habit 3, standing still. Most people know that sitting for long hours is bad for their veins. Far fewer know that standing in one place without moving is just as damaging, and in some ways worse, because it feels like the right thing to be doing. Here's the number that changes how you think about this. Venous pressure in the lower leg while standing motionless can reach 80 to 90 millimeters of mercury. While walking, that same pressure drops to 20 to 30. Standing still creates 3 to 4 times the venous pressure of walking, 3 to 4 times, while feeling like rest. What's happening is exactly what we covered with the calf pump. When you walk, the calf contracts with every step and physically pushes blood upward. When you stand still, the calf does nothing. Blood sits in the lower leg under the full force of gravity with no muscular assistance moving it out. The valves are holding against that column of blood, fighting it passively with no pump backing them up. Every minute of motionless standing is a minute of sustained pressure on walls and valves that are already compromised. The kitchen is where this most often happens for this audience. Standing at the counter to cook, to wash up, to prepare food, 20, 30, 40 minutes in the same spot. It feels productive. It feels like being on your feet, which is supposed to be good. But static standing at the kitchen counter is one of the more consistent ways people with venous insufficiency silently make things worse each day. The adjustment is small. Move while you stand. Shift your weight from foot to foot. Rise up slightly onto the balls of your feet and back down. That's the calf firing. That's the pump activating. Walk to the other end of the kitchen and back between tasks. If you've been in one spot for more than 10 minutes, move. It doesn't have to be far. The pump just needs to fire. So, look at what these 3 habits share. None of them feel like mistakes. Hot water soothes pain. Flat shoes feel comfortable. Standing upright seems like the right call. And yet each one is doing something specific and measurable to the venous system, increasing the load it can't handle or reducing the mechanism that clears that load. 3 different angles, 1 compounding outcome. What's genuinely good about all 3 of these is that fixing them costs nothing. No supplements, no appointments, no equipment. The changes live entirely in what's already in your day. And the effect goes further than just the veins. When you reduce venous pooling, you're also pulling down the systemic inflammation that feeds joint aching, the same inflammatory signals circulating through the body from blood that's sitting where it shouldn't be. The restless legs and nighttime cramping ease when the pooling eases. The afternoon fatigue lifts when the circulatory load on the body comes down. One problem addressed from 3 directions, several things improving at once. You've been managing this condition, probably for a while. And managing it is real work. It takes attention, it takes daily effort, and it doesn't always feel like it's paying off. What I want you to take from this video is something specific. 3 things you can stop doing right now that have been quietly working against everything else. Not a new protocol, not something to add, something to change about what's already in your day. Start with whichever one landed hardest. Just one. Pay attention to how your legs feel at the end of the day over the next 2 weeks. If this was helpful, subscribe. Take care of yourself.